Barbara, a lot of your characters you describe as women warriors.
Absolutely.
Why are they women warriors?
Well, I came up with that phrase long after I'd written A Woman of Substance, because I realized that that's what I was doing in every book, writing about women who went out and conquered the world.
They're fierce, they're determined, they have vulnerability. You say all your books have something of you in them. Are those your qualities, do you think?
Well, when I finished A Woman of Substance and it had come out and been a big bestseller, and I had thousands of fan letters from women saying what a fabulous person she is, a role model. And I kind of did an analysis of the book and I thought, I know what I've done. I've written about a 1970s woman, but put her in 1904. And I had done that, and I worried about it for a moment, and then I thought, no, there were women like that in 1904 or even earlier.
What was it like, though, being a woman in a man's world? You were a journalist in the early 50s, and as you say in your latest book, there weren't a lot of skirts in Fleet Street. In journalism as a whole, you didn't get many women.
No, you didn't. And mine was, I suppose, I never thought I wouldn't do it. So I had determination and discipline and dedication and desire. And I told my mother when I sold a story when I was 10 years old and actually got paid.
How much? Can you remember?
Yes, a postal order for 10 and 6 from the magazine. So that didn't matter. What mattered to me was the byline, Barbara Taylor in the magazine. But I told my mother, I'm going to be a journalist when I grow up, and I'm going to also write books. It wasn't I am going to do it. What was it like? They resented me.
Why did they resent you?
Well, I went and did my work and they said hello and goodbye. And you know what? Nobody put a hand on me. They got to like me. They saw I was serious. I was the only woman on the paper in that, in the world of the news. I got asked out a lot. They weren't ignoring me, but there was no Harvey Weinstein sort of stuff in those days with me. I don't know about anybody else. And eventually they forgot I was there and they swore and used 4-letter words, and I just went on typing and they accepted me.
One of the characters in your book, Victoria, who's a photographer, receives some unwanted male attention and thinks she needs to give notice and leave her job rather than fight it, because she says women that fight those sorts of things and bring it to people's attention don't get on. Do you think that's still the case?
Men who are bullies and have power and are really nasty pieces of work down deep, I don't believe it's a sickness. That's just an excuse. It's powerful men who take advantage of the job they have to come on very strongly to young women. That goes back centuries, that men with power have hit on young women.
But why don't women stand up and say this is not acceptable? Why don't women feel that they have the confidence and the power themselves to call it out?
I think it's fear, Sean. I really do. They're afraid of whatever century we were living in, losing something that man was able to take away.
Has much changed when you look at it for women from when you were first in the workplace in journalism to now? And I don't just mean journalism, I mean across the board.
Across the board,
because
yes.
You look at those sorts of, the sexual harassment we've been talking about, the gender pay gap, which still exists. Are women facing the same kind of struggles now that you experienced?
I think some are. I didn't experience too many bad things because I didn't have the sexual harassment, and I didn't get paid very much. And when they promoted me, to be Woman's Page editor at the age of 18, if you can believe this, on a not a national, but an evening paper in a big city. That was quite a step.
This is the Yorkshire Evening Post, wasn't it?
Yes, and they said, but we can't pay you any money. And there'd always been a phony name on the page. So I said, well, that's all right, but I want a byline. I bargained a bit. And then 2 years later, I came to work in Fleet Street, and the pay was better. My father did have to send me money because I was always running late, and I had a lot of taxes. And not a bus. But I'll tell you what's happened. Women have managed to rise above all of the, what's the word, the dismissiveness. Somehow we get dismissed as not quite as good as a man, can't really do the job as well. So therefore, not as much money. That's all wrong. Our brains are not different. I know very dumb men and I know brilliant men. I know dumb women and brilliant women. And that's the one thing that bothers me most, is the inequality when it comes to the money and the promotions.
And look at you now, you're a business franchise. You've sold more than 30 books in how many countries?
I've sold 32, well, my new book, Secrets of Cavendon, just came out. So it's my 32nd book, but I suppose it will be a bestseller. I hope. I never know.
Do you think your works are judged differently to a lot of male authors because you write for women, because of the style of your writing and what you write about?
I'll tell you what I think. I think critics basically are snobs for the most part, and they really don't want to read what I call popular fiction. I get some good reviews, I get some bad reviews, but I've got a lot of male readers.
So 70 years you've been working. 70 years!
Almost.
Almost?
I'm 84, so...
You've got one more year and
Yes.
you'll hit 70 years of working with the same sort of joie de vivre and fight and spirit and love of it. Anyone watching today will think, right, is it just about keep going, just keep at it, keep fighting?
I think it is. You've covered it. That's what it is. But also, I think I've been lucky in having good health, touch wood. And I'm strong physically. I'm a normal woman who's worked very hard and have a bit of talent that has helped me along the way.
You're a Yorkshire lass made good.
Well, yes, you can take the girl out of wherever she comes from, but she always retains what she is inside. And I can't remember this quote, but exactly. And it's a Margaret Thatcher quote, and it's something about, ask a man a question about what to do about a situation and he'll give you an answer. Ask a woman the same question and she'll go and do it. I've got the quote wrong, but I've got the essential meaning. And I think that women are underestimated not by every man. I'm not against men. I love men. And I know that a lot of men treat women in the right way. But we're still undervalued.
So what do we need to do? What's your final piece of advice?
Keep doing what we're doing if we work and make more demands and speak up. I think we have to be a little more vocal about what we think we're entitled to, and I believe we are.
Just as good. Speak up about it.
Yes.
Barbara, it's such a pleasure meeting you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sean.